Okay, Hank was born in September 1923 into a very poor family. He was poorly educated, quite illiterate actually, and inarticulate. And his family, his father had been in the First World War and was brain damaged during that time, so they ended up following logging camps, living in caravans and logging camps, trying to eke out a living. Lon was the father's name, and Lily was the mother's name, and Lily was a tough old bird, I can tell you. A real tough old bird, and she saw an opportunity to make things a little bit better, and she had him placed in a vet's hospital, and she got the vet's pension. Lon didn't see anything of the pension, but Lily did, and she opened a boarding house in Alabama, and she provided lodgings there for a lot of the logging people and for the musicians, including the musicians in Hank's band at a later stage. And she also provided ladies of the night for all of those people who decided to board with her. But this is one of Hank's. If you love me half as much as I love you, you wouldn't worry me half as much as you do. You're nice to me when there's no one else around. You only build me up to let me down. If you miss me half as much as I missed you, you wouldn't stay away half as much as you do. I know that I would never be this blue if you only love me half as much as I love you. If you love me half as much as I love you, you wouldn't worry me half as much as you do. You're nice to me when there's no one else around. You only build me up to let me down. If you miss me half as much as I miss you, you wouldn't stay away half as much as you do. I know that I would never feel this blue if you only love me half as much as I love you. That was one that Hank recorded in 1951, and it went to number 2 on the country charts. That was a time when he was just about at the peak. Things were beginning to be good in the career, but his life was in a mess, really in a mess. But we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the evening. As I say, he was born in Alabama in 1923. He got his first guitar at age 8 years, and he learned to play from a street musician called Rufus Payne, who had a nickname of Teetote. But Rufus was anything but a teetotaler, and most of the time he wasn't in any condition to mentor to Hank. But anyway, Hank did the best he could, and at 13 years of age, he had managed to put together a band, and he was signed up by a radio station called WSFA, and he used to go out there in the morning at 7:30 in the morning and play live music on sponsored shows. And the idea to get in early in the morning was before the farmers went out to do their work, and that was the way he did it for many years. He was managed by Lily, his mother, famous Lily, and she drove Hank and the band to the gigs, kept a very tight rein on the money. Most of the money went to her and not to the band members, but that's the way it was. This was one that he recorded close to the time that he died, and it became number one after he had died. It's called Take These Chains From My Heart. Take these chains from my heart and set me free. You've grown cold and no longer care for me. All my faith in you is gone, but the heartaches linger on. Take these chains from my heart and set me free. Take these tears from my eyes and let me see just a spark of the love that used to be. If you love somebody new, let me find a new love too. Take these chains from my heart and set me free. Just a word of sympathy. Be as fair to my heart as you can be. Then if you no longer care for the love that's beating there, take these chains from my heart and set me free. Take these chains from my heart and set me free. Most of the songs, and by the way, Hank wrote 600 plus songs in his career, and 100 of those were recorded by mainstream artists. So he had quite a career and quite a library of songs that he'd written over the years. Most of them came from sad experiences. He was born with spina bifida and was in constant pain for most of his years, and he developed a taste for drugs, prescription drugs, and also for alcohol. But also he was in a marriage which provided him with plenty of material for the sad songs that he wrote over the years. But this is not one of them. Okay. Comb your hair and paint and powder. You act proud and I act prouder. You sing loud and I'll sing louder. Tonight we're setting the woods on fire. You're my gal and I'm your fella. Dress up in the frock of yellow. You look swell, but I look sweller. Setting the woods on fire. We'll begin all the honky tonks. Tonight we're having fun. We'll show the folks a brand new dance that never has been done. We don't care who thinks we're silly. You be daffy and I'll be dilly. We'll order up 2 bowls of chili. Setting the woods on fire. I'll gas up my hot rod stove. You get hotter than a poker. You be broke, but I'll be broken. Tonight we're setting what's on fire. We get close to one another, up one street and down the other. We put aside a Pembroke brother, setting the woods on fire. We put aside a little time to fix a flat or two. Our tires and tubes are doing fine, but the air is blowing true. The woods on fire. Hear that lonesome whippoorwill. He sounds too blue to fly. The midnight train is winding low. I'm so lonesome I could cry. I've never seen a night so long when time goes crawling by. The moon just went behind the clouds to hide its face and cry. Did you ever see a robin weep when times begin to die? That means he's lost the will to live. I'm so lonesome I could cry. Well, the silence of a falling star lights up a purple sky. And as I wonder where you are, I'm so lonesome I could cry. Thank you. Hank met a lady called Audrey Shepherd in 1943, a very stunning looking woman. They got married in 1944, but she was another tough lady, and it was almost like he married his mother. She also fancied herself as a singer, and she managed to bully Hank into bringing her into the band, playing double bass and singing. And if you ever go onto YouTube and check out Mrs. Hank Williams singing, you'll know what I mean. She wasn't up to very much, but she was tough, and she was determined to get in there, and she did. And she actually recorded some duets with Hank as well. In 1946, he signed with Acuff Rose, who were big music publishers at the time. And at 40 and 47, he signed with MGM Records. Through 1949 to 51, his personal life was in a mess, an absolute mess. He was getting a reputation for no shows. He was getting a reputation for being drunk on stage. Very sad situation, which unfortunately, during those particular years, his personal life was in a mess. His career actually was in its ascendancy because his records were doing phenomenally well, and a lot of people were covering them at that time. So it was a mixed bag for Hank during those particular times. This one you'll all know, so join in if you like. Goodbye, Joe, we gotta go, me and my oh. We gotta go home, hero down the bayou. I ain't on the sweetest one, me and my oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, a crawfish pie, and a beanie gumbo. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna see my share of Rio. Pick guitar, fill fruit jar, and be gay, oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. dressed in style, go hog wild, me oh my oh. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, a crawfish pie, and a filet gumbo. For tonight I'm gonna see my share of me, yo. Big guitar, filled with char, and be gay, yo. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, and a crawfish pie, and a filet gumbo. For tonight I'm gonna see my share of me, yo. Big guitar, filled with char, and be gay, yo. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If I were to pick a favourite Hank Williams song, and there's obviously some great ones, this would be it, I think. You thought she cared for you, so you acted smart. Go on and break, you crazy heart. You lived on promises I knew would fall apart. Go on and break your crazy heart. You never would admit you were mistaken. You didn't even know the chances you were taking. I knew you couldn't win, I told you from the start. Go on and break your crazy heart. Up and find her missing. I tried my best to warn you, but you just wouldn't listen. You told me I was wrong, you thought that you were smart. Go on and break you crazy. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. I can't find no beer. Well, I'm standing on a corner with a bucket in my hand. I'm waiting for a woman, ain't got no man, 'cause my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. I can't find no beer. Well, I went up on the mountain, I looked down in the sea. I see the crabs and the fishes do the bebop beat. 'Cause my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. I can't find no beer. Well, there ain't no use in you kicking so hard when I've got a woman in the bossman's yard. 'Cause my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. Yeah, my bucket's got a hole in it. I can't find no beer. Well, me and my baby, we just gone back on board, And now we sit together on the running board, 'cause my book has got a hole in it. Yeah, my book has got a hole in it. Yeah, my book has got a hole in it. I can't find no beer. My book has got a hole in it. Yeah, my book has got a hole in it. Yeah, my book has got a hole in it. I can't find no beer. This is C, Frank, isn't it? I was riding number 9, heading south from Caroline. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. I got in trouble, had to roam, left my gal and left my home. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. Just a kid acting smart, I went and broke my darling's heart. I guess I was too young to know. They took me off the Georgia main, locked me to a ball and chain. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. Till my body's just a shell and my hair turns whiter than snow. I'll never see that gal of mine. Lord, I'm in Georgia doing time. I hear that lonesome whistle blow. Despite Hank's many failings, he also wrote a lot of spiritual stuff, and he also used, under an assumed name, he brought out some albums under the name of Luke the Drifter, and they were monologues mostly, with these sort of moral stories attached to them. Hank he was good for telling people how to do things, but he wasn't great for doing them himself. And this one was, you have to imagine this, because on the album it has a Hammond organ going in the background, a kind of a wailing Hammond organ, but we couldn't afford one of them tonight, so it's just me, I'm afraid. And it's called A Funeral, and the one thing to bear in mind here, that Hank was not a racist. There were a lot of, when you look at country music in those days, it was all white. Everybody was white. And there was a lot of racist stuff going on. There was one guy who was called Johnny Rebel, a very successful country singer at that particular time. And some of his great hits were things like "Quit Your Bitchin' Nigger" and "Move Them Niggers North," and that sort of thing. And that's the sort of stuff that was in country music in those days. And in fact, you'd have to go into the 60s to see where there was a kind of a change in that. And the first one who broke through, I know Frank would disagree with some of this, but I know there were several cover versions of Hank's stuff by coloured artists like Ray Charles. But Charlie Pride came on board into the country scene in the 60s, and his record company tried to hide the fact initially, when they were releasing his first album, that he was black, because they reckoned that it was going to be a disaster if the country folk or fans realised that he was black. But I don't think Hank was a racist, but it's very interesting in this. It's a sympathetic monologue, and yet listen to some of the words, because they talk about non-PC words in this. It's just incredible. I was walking in Savannah past a church decayed and dim, when slowly through the window came a plaintive funeral hymn. And my sympathy awakened and a wonder quickly grew, till I found myself kneeling at a little wooden pew. Out front a coloured couple sat in sorrow all the while. On the altar was a casket, and in that casket was a child. I could picture him while living, curly hair, protruding lips. I'd seen perhaps 1,000 in my hurried southern trips. Rose a sad old coloured preacher from his little wooden desk, with a manner sort of awkward and a countenance grotesque. The simplicity and shrewdness in his Ethiopian face showed the wisdom and the ignorance of a crushed, undying race. And he said, "Now don't be weeping for this pretty bit of clay, for the little boy who lived here is done gone and run away. He was doing very finely and he appreciates your love, but he showed his father wanted him in that big house up above. The Lord didn't give you that baby by no 100,000 miles. He just thought you needed some sunshine, and he lent it for a while. And he let you love and keep it till your hearts were bigger grown. And these silver tears that you're shedding now, they're just interest on that loan. Just think, my poor dear mourners, as you travel sorrow's way, what a blessed picnic this here baby had today. Your good fathers and good mothers crowd that little fellow round as the angels tend the garden in that big plantation ground. In his eyes they brightly sparkle at the pretty things to view, but a tear comes and he whispers, I want my parents too. But then the angel's chief musician teached his little boy a song, saying if only they be faithful, they'll soon be coming along. So my poor detached mourners, let your hearts with Jesus rest, and don't go criticizing the one who knows the best. He has given us many comforts. He has the right to take away. To the Lord be praise and glory. Forever let us pray. And when you think of some of the lines in that, talk about non-PC, like the ignorance of a crushed, the simplicity and shrewdness in his Ethiopian face show the wisdom and the ignorance of a crushed and dying race. But anyway, I still don't think that Hank was a racist. This one is the news is out all over town that you've been seen out running around. I know that I should leave, but then I just can't go. You win again. This heart of mine would never see what everybody knew but me. Just trust in you was my great sin. What can I do? You win again. You have no heart, you have no shame. You take true love and give the blame. I guess that I should not complain. I love you still. You win again. And most of these songs were written by Hank out of great sadness about the state of his marriage and the behavior of the wife. And he was no saint himself, by the way. But it did give him the inspiration to write a lot of these really beautiful songs. This one, not going to do good. This one is called Cold Cold Heart, and it was recorded by Hank in 1950. It went to #1, and lots of people have recorded this and made great hits of this song since then. He wrote it after Audrey, his wife, had actually had an abortion without telling Hank, for Hank's, would have been Hank's second child, and he wrote this one. I tried so hard, my dear, to show that you're my every dream. Yet you're afraid each thing I do is just some evil scheme. A memory from your lonesome past keeps us so far apart. Why can't I free your doubtful mind and melt your cold, cold heart? Another love before my time made your heart sad and blue. And so my heart is paying now for things I did not do. In anger, unkind words are said that make the teardrops start. Why can't I free your doubtful mind and melt your cold, cold heart? Well, there was a time when I believed that you belonged to me. But now I know your heart is shackled to a memory. The more I learn to care for you, the more we drift apart. Why can't I free your doubtful mind and melt your cold, cold heart? Thank you. A is it Frankie? Yeah, okay, your cheating heart will make you weep. You'll cry and cry sleep won't come the whole night through. Your cheating heart will tell on you. When tears come down like falling rain, you'll toss around and call my name. You walk the floor the way I do. Your cheating heart will tell on you. Tears come down like falling rain, you'll toss around and call my name. You walk the floor the way I do. Your cheating heart will tell on you. And folks, just before we finish up, just to give you the sad ending to Hank's life, he went on his last tour. At this stage, nobody would play in his band. He wasn't paying anybody. He was very ill, but he took a tour late 1952. His last tour, he was booed off the stage in San Antonio in Texas. But on the 19th of December 1952, he played a venue called the Austin Skyline Club, which had a capacity of 250 people, and 800 people crammed into that particular venue. And amazingly, instead of doing his normal half hour, which is reduced to a half hour set that he would do, most of the time half drunk, he did a 3-hour set that night, amazingly. And I suppose there's a little bit of mythology in that, but they say it was one of the greatest shows he ever put up. And he was scheduled to appear in Charleston in West Virginia on the 31st of December 1952. He had no money to fly to these venues, so he got this 17-year-old student to drive him in his powder blue Cadillac to the gig. The weather was so bad he never made it to Charleston, which was no surprise to the people there. They just thought it was another no-show from Hank, but genuinely he couldn't make it because of the road conditions. And he decided to drive on to Canton, Ohio for his gig on the 1st of January 1953. And that's this poster here is actually the poster for that particular gig, 1st of January 1953, and I happened to get a hold of that copy of that original one, and it's very interesting because in it there's handwritten by the owner of that particular poster, which says, "Hank never made it to this gig." He died on his way to the gig in the back seat of his Cadillac. And the 17-year-old who was driving him realized there was something wrong, pulled into a gas station, and the gas station manager came out and confirmed that Hank was lying dead in the back of the real rock and roll way to go, I suppose, but that's how he ended. Interestingly, when the young guy rang up Lily, the mother, to tell her the news, she said, "You better bring that Cadillac back in good shape to me." Seriously, that's what she said. They say that up to 250,000 people attended his funeral in Montgomery, Alabama. His life was a mess before he died, and even after his death, it was even a bigger mess. He'd divorced Audrey and married another lady, Billie Jean, in 1952, late 52. And beside his open coffin, as the people were passing by, they had a screaming match and a fight, which they were pulling each other's hair out. But and the legal rights over his inheritance was just amazing after that. He also had an illegitimate child by another lady who was born 5 days after he died. Interestingly, he must have had a premonition about his end was near, because he'd left money to look after the child with his sister, Irene, and his mother promised that if something happened to him, she would look after the baby. She took the baby after Hank had died, and the baby was born. She died 3 months later, and Irene, the sister, refused to have anything to do with the child and put it up for adoption. And that child never realised who she was, that she was a daughter of Hank Williams, until she reached her 21st year, and she was able to track back who her father was. And thankfully, they had held in abeyance some of his monies and stuff, and she was able to get some of that eventually. Hank was considered one of the most significant and influential singer-songwriters of the 20th century, without a doubt. He had 35 singles in the top 10 country charts. He wrote 600 songs, over 100 of them covered by other people. And those artists include Elvis, Dylan, Jerry Lee Lewis, Ray Charles, Perry Como, Ricky Nelson, Tony Bennett, Keith Richards, Mark Knopfler, and loads others. And if any of you are Leonard Cohen fans, Leonard, who is now 81, still touring. Hank would have been, I think, 92 now if he had lived, and that was highly unlikely. But Leonard Cohen respected Hank as one of the great singer-songwriters. And in his song, Tower of Song, he mentions that in the one line in that Tower of Song says Hank Williams is 20 floors above him in the Tower of Song. And Leonard Cohen wrote this. He said, "When I wrote about Hank Williams, 100 floors above me in the Tower of Song, it's not some kind of inverse modesty. I know where Hank Williams stands in the history of popular song. Your Cheating Heart and songs like that are sublime in his tradition, and compared with him, I feel myself a very minor writer." So that was some tribute from a great singer-songwriter himself. Hank, after he died, was inducted into various halls of fame. He had a star placed on the Hollywood Boulevard in 1960. The Country Music Hall of Fame, he was inducted in 1961. And believe it or not, in 1987, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, rock and roll did not exist until the mid-50s. Hank died in 53, and that's an indication of the respect that people had for his influence on the people who followed beyond. Watch out for a movie coming out in November with Tom Huddleston, who's playing Hank, much to the despair of Hank 3. There was Hank Jr., who's a pretty nice country singer. That was Hank's son. And then Hank's grandson, Hank 3, who kind of does a punk version of country music, which is very interesting. But he was disgusted when he realised that an Englishman was going to play his grandfather in the movie. But however, that's how it is. Watch out for it. I think it's going to be a good one. And I finish off with a song of Hank's, which I think you all know, so join in if you like. I tried to do a bit of yodeling in it, and I'm not great at yodeling, so you'll have to forgive me. I got a feeling called blue, so long since my baby said goodbye. Lord, I don't know what I'll do. All I do is sit and sigh. Oh Lord, that last long day she said goodbye. Well, Lord, I thought I would cry. She do me, she do you, she got that kind of loving. Lord, I wanna hit her when she calls me sweet and daddy. Such a beautiful dream. I hate to think it's all over. I lost my heart, it seems. grown so used to you somehow. I'm nobody sugar daddy now, 'cause I'm lonesome. I've got the lovesick blues. Well, I'm in love with a beautiful girl. That's what's the matter with me. Well, I'm in love with a beautiful girl, but she don't care about me. Lord, I tried and I tried just to keep her satisfied, but she just wouldn't stay. And now that she is leaving, this is what I gotta say. I got a feeling called a blues, oh Lord, since my baby said goodbye. Lord, I don't know what I'll do. All I do is sit and sigh. Oh Lord, that last Monday she said goodbye. Well, Lord, I thought I would cry. She'd do me, she'd do you. She's got that kind of loving. Lord, I love to hear her when she calls me sweet daddy. Such a beautiful dream. I hate to think it's all over. I lost my heart, it seems. I've grown so used to you somehow. I'm nobody sugar daddy now, 'cause I'm lonesome. I got the lovesick blues. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you for listening. Now watch out for that movie, Hank. And I'd like to thank Frank on guitar and Chris on the drums. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Sophie on the sound, thank you. And Julie Rose for inviting us, thank you.